Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for joining. We are continuing with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, entitled Creation, chapter number 6, Conversation between Narada and Vyasadeva, text number 1. Sutta Vacha Evam Nishamya Bhagavan Devarshirjanma Karma Cha Bhuyaha Paprachatam Brahman Vyasaha Satyavati Sutaha. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Sutta said, O Brahmanas, thus hearing all about Sri Narada's birth and activities, Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God and son of Satyavati, inquired as follows. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Thank you all so much for joining. So we see that this chapter, it's a continuation of the conversation between Narad Muni and Vyasadeva that we learned in the last chapter, where and in this chapter he will explain to Vyasadeva upon inquiry about his past life. You see, and we will learn from Narad Muni's past life how devotional service or bhakti yoga transformed his life. That's the power of bhakti. Now, Narad Muni, he recounts his previous birth and he informs Vyasadeva that he was born as a son of a maidservant and had no social or educational advantages. He didn't have a Facebook account, Instagram account, nothing, no mobile phone either, no social media, and even he didn't have any educational advantage, which means he wasn't a very well-educated person. He was only 5 years old. So he explains to Vyasadeva, I think I have given a synopsis of this before, but this chapter gives in detail about how during the rainy season in India, usually rainy season is for 4 months. So during rainy seasons, great sages, they were known as Bhaktivedantas, they stayed with him and his mother for 4 months. So during those 4 months, he served them, those great sages, in a very humble manner. He was cleaning, he was, helping his mother, but most importantly, he was listening to what they were saying. They were explaining the transcendental pastimes of Krishna. So he was hearing very attentively. And of course, he was honoring their remnants, whatever they left. And this helped him to become purified. So from this, we can understand the power of association. Association with sadhus, with saintly persons is very, very important. And because he had that association, he took full advantage. He was listening very attentively about discussion about Krishna. So even as a child, a 5-year-old boy, he developed great faith and attraction to the topics of Krishna. And these great sages, they initiated him. Just a 5-year-old boy, so fortunate. So Sutta Goswami is explaining to all the sages present there in Naimisharanya that Vyasadeva inquired from Narad Muni. He said, what did you do after the sages left your home? How did you pass your time after, or your life after initiation? How did you get a spiritual body in this life? And how did you remember your past life? Do we remember our past lives? No. At least for me, I don't even remember what I did yesterday at this time. We don't remember much. But Vyasadeva wants to know, how did you remember your past life also? Because here Narad Muni is explaining to Vyasadeva about his past life. So Narad Muni said that after these great sages gave me spiritual knowledge, they went to other places because rainy season was over. So just by associating with these great sages, he had a spiritual awakening. And Narad Muni, that 5-year-old boy, he began chanting, he started meditating on Krishna, and his heart became more and more purified. And in the process, all the material desires got diminished, they got finished. And he told Vyasadeva, I was the only son, and that too of a maid servant. And she was very bound with me with affection, like she was very attached to him. And she was not able to do anything for me, Narad Muni said, because they were so poor. You see? And he said, it is like, uh, everyone is like, a wooden doll in the hands of a puppet master. We have seen that puppet show, right? One time in our lives, we have seen the puppet show where the puppet master on top controls all the puppets, to put the hand up or the leg up or turn around, etc. So Narad Muni is explaining to Vyasadeva, this is the situation of people in the material world. They are like puppets in the hand of puppet master, that is the Supreme Lord. So he said that he lived in a Brahmana school and he was dependent on his mother, and we had no experience of anything else besides this small little life that we had. So it so happened one night his mother went out to milk a cow at night, and at that time she was bitten by a snake. So that's because of the snake bite she died. So imagine this 5-year-old boy had only his mother as his family, and now she's also dead. What a great loss. But then he realized, he understood the reason behind the loss and how he became renounced. He said, because my mother died suddenly, I was left all alone. So instead of despair, oh, the Lord is so unkind. Why did he do this to me? How come he gave me so much? No, he did not despair. He took that as the mercy of Krishna. He took that as an opportunity to dedicate himself completely to bhakti yoga. You see, and that is how his journey began, his spiritual journey began, and that too a journey of meditation. He traveled north, meditating in solitude. Imagine a 5-year-old boy not looking for toys to play with or some boys to play with. No, he's explaining to Vyasadeva, he went through different towns, villages, farms, mines, lands, valleys, flower gardens, natural forests, so many different places he went to. He was traveling up north. He passed through hills, mountains, full of reservoirs of gold, silver, copper, reservoirs of water filled with beautiful lotus flowers, beautiful birds. And he went through the forests of bamboo, sharp grass, weeds, caves, deep, dark, dangerous forests, which were full of snakes and check-holes. He kept traveling, traveling, traveling up north. And then after some time, he was tired, he was thirsty, he was hungry. So he said he took a bath in a river, he drank a little water and got some relief from his exhaustion. And after that, this 5-year-old boy, he sat down under a banyan tree to meditate on what? On the super soul in the heart. He said he used his intelligence from what he had learned from the great sages. So when we hear Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam or pastimes of Krishna, it is not something that we do on a Sunday morning by the way. No. When we hear, then we use our intelligence. Krishna has given us philosophical intelligence by which we can inquire. we try to understand what have we learned in today's class. So here, Narad Muni, he used his intelligence and tried to remember everything that he had learned from the great sages. And as soon as he meditated on Krishna's lotus feet with his mind, he felt transcendental love. Tears were rolling down his eyes, you see. And at that time, because of his deep meditation on Krishna, he had a brief vision of Krishna within his heart. Just a brief. And just that brief darshan of Krishna filled him with so much bliss. Every part of his body was enlivened, and he was absorbed in an ocean of ecstasy. And then he could see himself and the Supreme Lord within his heart. You see, the form of the Supreme Lord Krishna is so beautiful, it's so attractive. He's the Supreme Lord. Just his form can satisfy one's mind and the desires. And then Krishna disappeared. So, for a brief moment, he saw Krishna, and then Krishna disappeared. And suddenly, Narad Muni got up. He was very perturbed. He was disturbed because he couldn't see the Lord anymore. He wanted to see Krishna again. He wanted to, meditate again so that he could see him again, but he could not. He tried to concentrate his mind, but he had no success at all. And so he felt very dissatisfied. It was hurting him. It was painful for him that he saw the Lord and now he cannot see him anymore. And at that time, because of his state of mind, Krishna gave him a divine message. Krishna said, I disappeared from your heart to increase your love for me. You see, Krishna, when he spoke to Narad Muni, when he gave the divine message, he spoke with gravity, but his words were very pleasing. He wanted to remove the grief of Narad Muni. And he told Narad Muni, you will not see me again in this lifetime. You see? So, which means Narad Muni has to still further advance spiritually. Krishna told him that those who are incomplete in their service, those who are not completely free of material contamination, they can hardly see me. Now, that was not the situation of Narad Muni. He was completely free of material contamination, but to teach us a lesson, to show us that if we really have a deep desire to see Krishna, then we have to make sure that we are free, completely free from material contamination. See? And our service is complete. Our service is complete means we follow Krishna's instructions completely. If he says, Satatam kirtayanto mam, always chanting my glories, that means we chant his glories. And what is that? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Now, to remove Narad Muni's grief further, Krishna said, you have seen me once, and this is so that, to increase your desire to see me more. The more you will hanker for me, the more you'll become free from all material desires. And this longing to see me will deepen your devotion. So Krishna is giving us guidance through Narad Muni, and he says that by serving him, even for a few days, a devotee attains firm or fixed intelligence in Krishna. And consequently, that devotee becomes his associate in the spiritual world. So he advised Narad Muni, your intelligence should be engaged in my devotion. And then you will not get lost at any time. So remembrance will continue. You will remember everything by my mercy. And then Krishna stopped speaking. So, from this, we understand that our forgetfulness, our remembrance, everything comes from Krishna. We learned this in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, verse 15. Sarvasya chaham hridi sanivishto. Krishna says, I am situated in everyone's heart. Mataha smritir jnanam apohanam cha. He says, Mataha, from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. You see? So it depends on what we desire. If we desire to remember Him very deeply, by His mercy, we will be able to. But if we desire to forget Him, Krishna will say, Tathastu. Sure, is that. If that's what your desire is, it shall be fulfilled. So when Narad Muni heard these words of Krishna, he felt very grateful. See, attitude of gratitude goes a very long way. That is why, if we can make it a practice that as soon as we wake up in the morning, we feel gratitude. We thank the Supreme Lord for giving us one more day. And in the evening or at night before going to bed, we again express our gratitude for giving us one more day so we can practice Bhakti Yoga. So, this is how Narad Muni felt, a sense of gratitude. He offered his obeisances by bowing down his head, even though he couldn't see Krishna anymore, but he knew Krishna is present, so he bowed down. And guess what did he do after that? This chapter explains how he began chanting again and again and again, repeatedly. And such chanting and remembering of Supreme Lord is very, very important. He traveled all over north. He was fully satisfied. He had humility in his heart and no envy at all. He was fully absorbed in thinking of Krishna with no attachments at all. He only had one attachment, his mother, but now his mother was dead. So now he had no more attachments and he was completely free from material contamination. And then Narad Muni said to Vyasadeva, he died. He met death. And this is how we will understand the transformation of this 5-year-old boy into Narad Muni. So after death, he said he was reborn as a celestial sage Narad Muni. He got a spiritual body and he got devotion, which is eternal devotion, which means not that today he performs bhakti yoga, tomorrow he takes a break. No, eternal devotion for Krishna. And then he explains to Vyasadeva that at the end of millennium, when Lord Narayan or Vishnu lays down, then within the water of devastation, then Brahma, he begins to enter into Lord Narayana. And at that time, Narad Muni, as that 5-year-old boy, also entered through the Supreme Lord's breathing. So when Lord Narayan or Vishnu, he is lying down, in the water of devastation and he is breathing, and that's within his breathing, Narad Muni also went inside the spiritual body, transcendental body of Lord Narayana. And then when Lord Brahma awoke to create again by the will of Krishna, then all the rishis like Marichi, Angira, Atri, many of them, they were also created. From how? From the transcendental body of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. And at that time, Narad Muni said, he also appeared with these great sages. So after the sleeping period of Brahma, again creation takes place. And then again rishis and Narada appear. Then Narada appears again in transcendental body every time. So there is a cycle that happens. We will learn more in detail in later chapters how first there is creation, there's maintenance, and then there's annihilation. Everything is, finished. Everything goes back into the body of Mahavishnu. And then again at time of creation, it all comes out. You see? So this is how he explained about his birth as son of Lord Brahma, as the great sage Narad Muni, and also how he always received the spiritual body which is eternal. So you see, the Supreme Lord and his devotees, they are all spiritual entities and they belong to the same category of transcendence. Narad Muni is explaining to Vyasadeva, you see. And he says that now he travels, now as Narad Muni, he travels all over the universe singing glories of the Lord. And how is that possible? He's doing this eternally. How? This is possible because Narad Muni, he is fixed, completely fixed in unbroken devotional service to Krishna. Very important. There has to be firm faith, firm determination, sincerity, seriousness, and the devotion that one has should be unbroken. Not that we have devotion for the Lord only on weekends or only on Sunday morning. It is every day and, if possible, all the time. And Narad Muni, he's constantly traveling and singing the glories of Krishna, vibrating his transcendental veena that was given to him by the Lord himself. You see? And that sound that comes out of that veena is very transcendental, it's very, very powerful. So before leaving, Narad Muni, he is giving instructions to his disciple Vyasadeva, and he's saying that the glories of Krishna are very pleasing to hear. That is why we have started Srimad Bhagavatam classes on Sunday, so we can hear more and more about Krishna and his glories. And he said that these glories are so pleasing to hear, and at once Krishna appears. As soon as he chants the glories, Krishna at once appears into the heart of Narad Muni. You see? And as soon as he chants, Krishna is there. Because there's no difference between Krishna and his holy name. You see? And Narad Muni is explaining, giving his personal experience, he's relating to Vyasadeva. So he says that those who are always full of anxieties, anybody here who's not anxious? Most people in this material world are full of anxieties. So those who are always full of anxieties because of their senses, uncontrolled senses, they can cross over this material ocean just by chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And they can get relief from all anxieties, all disturbances, all miseries just by performing Bhakti Yoga. That is the power of Bhakti. It can transform us completely, you see. So, Narad Muni, before going, he's telling Vyasadeva, "Oh Vyasadeva, you are freed from all sins. And I have explained to you my birth and my activities for self-realization. I've answered all your questions, and now it's time for me to leave." And then Narad Muni, he took leave of Vyasadeva, vibrating on his veena, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And he left to wander and go by his free will anywhere he wanted. So Sutta Goswami is telling the sages there that all glories to Narad Muni, all success to Narad Muni, because he is always glorifying Krishna. And Narad Muni feels pleasure and he's enlivening all the distressed souls. See, that's the power of association. When we associate with saintly personalities, with those who are on this path of Bhakti Yoga, we can experience spiritual growth, just by associating and hearing about Krishna. You see, Bhakti is universal. It's not that, bhakti or devotion is to be performed only by certain sect of people or certain group of people. No, it's universal. Someone someone who is very poor, like Narad Muni was, son of a maid servant, even that cannot stop anyone from becoming self-realized. It's possible how? Just by performing bhakti yoga. And what will be the result? There's going to be detachment. And that will come naturally. It's not that one day we have to sit down and say, oh, I've been chanting and now I feel detached. So I don't want this, I don't want that. No, let me try to get rid of this. No, it becomes natural. Detachment comes naturally. And that happens because there's attachment to Krishna. If we want to detach ourselves from something, we have to attach ourselves to something. So when we attach ourselves to bhakti yoga, to Krishna, detachment to material things will be natural. And then what will happen, that true devotion will actually reduce our material attachment without any force. We won't have to force ourselves, to get detached. No. So Narad Muni, he received you can say he received, this is what he tells Vyasadeva, he became very fortunate and he received Krishna's mercy. How? By taking away his mother, because that last attachment also was taken away. So Prabhupada says that we should understand that difficult things that happen in our lives or difficult events that happen in our life, they are actually, you can call them catalysts for spiritual advancement. We should take that as a mercy of the Lord and not blame Him. Why did you do this? Why am I suffering? Why is my neighbor not suffering? Why am I, that chosen one? No. Devotees do not despair. They do not blame the Supreme Lord, but take everything that comes in life as a mercy of the Lord. So this temporary, you can say a separation from Krishna intensified devotion of Narad Muni. Krishna appeared and he disappeared just to increase his devotion for him. You see? So in this chapter, Narad Muni, he's emphasizing that hearing means Shravanam, hearing and chanting, which means Kirtanam, about Krishna, are the most effective spiritual practice, especially if we are in difficult times. So, my question is, are we in difficult times? Answer would be yes. Most of the time, yes. So, what is the solution? Bhakti. Because bhakti can transform our lives. Bhakti yoga can transfer. And the first step of bhakti is to hear, which we do on Sundays. We hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And the next step is we put Bhagavatam into practice, which is do mantra meditation. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This is how we can transform our lives, because bhakti, very powerful. These sound vibrations that we, when we do the mantra meditation, these sound vibrations are very powerful. We should not take them very lightly and, just chant by the way or when we feel like or when we have time. No, we should make this our first priority. That as soon as first thing in the morning, I would like to do is finish chanting my rounds. And the number of rounds prescribed by the Lord Himself when He came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is 2 hours of chanting, which is 16 rounds every day. Of what? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this is how Narad Muni is explaining to Vyasadeva the importance of bhakti yoga. Chanting, chanting, chanting. So I'm going to end now. This is how chapter ends. And if anyone has any questions or comments, you're welcome to ask.